Hey y'all, so it has been 5 months since I have made a video, and I done brought a ring light and all type of stuff, and I'm like, let me finally just do this because it's been a long time. So anyways, 5 months ago I had to go back and look at the video and see like what the heck was going on at that time, because I don't remember. Stuff been changing so quickly, I really at one point could not keep up. So last time I talked to y'all, I had an interview coming up at an urgent care, and I was currently working in a primary practice, or like a family, medicine office, a small practice though, with another nurse practitioner, and I was seeing a lot of her patients. So I was doing that, but her volume was becoming like low. People weren't showing up. She would have like 5 people scheduled, one show up, or like nobody would show up, things like that. And it got to the point where she, started canceling certain days I was working and all that. And I'm like, oh no, I cannot do this. I need to have some more, like, a for sure income coming in. And so I can't go off of what ifs when it comes to bills and all that. So anyways, to get back to the interview, I had an urgent care interview, and I was nervous for it because I felt like it was like my first legit nurse practitioner interview, and I really just didn't know what to think. So went to the interview, and it was just very weird. Like, the whole vibe was weird. So sat there, waited. They took me back into a patient room, an empty patient room, and that's where the interview occurred. It was just weird. It wasn't even really like an interview. They really didn't ask me really much clinical wise to even gauge like my clinical knowledge. They more so asked me like, why did I want to be in healthcare? Why urgent care? But really they didn't ask too much about my experience, because I have some experiences working in the urgent care from my clinical rotations in school. And then I had a lot of experience as a nurse, taking care of certain urgent things, that you might see in a clinic. Excuse me. So it was just weird. I left not really knowing what to think. And I was like, okay, whatever. But I just wasn't like, oh yeah, I got that job. That's not what my feeling was when I left. So anyways, some time went by. I want to say maybe a week or something. Some time went by and I hadn't heard anything. And during the interview, they was like, oh yeah, you'll hear from us by the end of the week. Well, I never heard nothing. So I was like, let me send an email out just to to say thank you for the opportunity, but like low key find out what the heck was going on. Like, what's the status? Did y'all offer the position to somebody else, or what? So I did send an email out and never heard back from them, like, ever. I didn't hear back from them till this day. Never got an email back, never got a sorry, we're gonna go with somebody else. Just never heard nothing. So I was like, okay, whatever. That little miniature chapter or paragraph was closed. So I started looking for other things. At this point I was kind of like, I need some more income. Working with the current lady I was working with, and nothing against her, she definitely offered me very great experiences because she was my preceptor for 2 of my rotations when I actually was in school. And she actually went out her way to actually pay me to help her out. So nothing against her, but I could not operate on the what if. So at this point, after this interview and all that failed, I I was applying for like a million jobs a day, sitting at my dining room table applying for millions of jobs a day. And I had finally heard back, and I was applying for nursing jobs, and I was applying for nurse practitioner jobs. So I ended up hearing back from a health department that I had applied for, and I had interviewed for, actually. And I forgot I had interviewed for them, to be honest. So they called me back and offered me a position, you know, the pay, I was like, it's not that great. But I was like, whatever, I don't even care at this point. You know, I need a steady something coming in. And then I ended up also hearing back from like a home care agency, and that was also a nursing position as well. And I was like, whatever, at this point, I'm just gonna do both of these. So that is what I did. Did that for a while. The health department nursing job was mainly just phone calls. It was one of like their nursing outreach phone line, and I did a lot of appointment making, and I did answer some questions about certain things like mainly COVID related things. So I wouldn't say I was doing any extensive things at that job, but you know, maybe some nursing knowledge and EMP knowledge and stuff came to use like on some of the phone calls. But that's what I was doing. And I'll be honest, I liked it. It wasn't like, it wasn't stressful. And, I'm very good about making sure I do not stay in stressful situations. When it comes to jobs and stuff, especially. So, but, so did that. I was doing that for a while, and then was doing home care for a while. Now the home care thing was a different story. The specific work itself wasn't like, seeing the patients wasn't stressful. I was seeing a lot of like people who were able-bodied, but they just were getting surgeries like rotator cuff surgeries, knee surgeries, some back and some hip surgeries, primarily from auto accidents. That part wasn't stressful, like actually seeing the patients, but that documentation though was taking up too much time at home. And I'm that type of a person. Some people don't mind working from home. Some people don't mind taking work home. I mind taking work home. I do not like to be at home doing too much. If I have to do something, I don't want it to be very much at home. I would rather be able to get whatever it is done at wherever the facility is that I'm working, or even in the car at a house or something. I just don't like to be, when I step in the house, I just don't like to do work. So I found that home care job, and it was a nursing job, like I said, I found that it was taking too much time, and although I was seeing a lot of patients and stuff and getting paid for those visits and making a, acceptable income off of it, the time that was being spent at home doing that OASIS documentation, if anybody's familiar with that, it was just not worth it for me. It was some days where I'm like, oh, I got a chart on this person, document this, that, and I kid you not, the starter people and the documentation was like at least a good 13 pages long. And that is too much. I ain't trying to, like, I type fast, can document fast and everything, but 13 pages is gonna take anybody, a little bit more time. So that was getting really old and stuff, but at the time I was like, okay, this is what I gotta do. That's just what I had to do. So after all of this, I still was applying for nurse practitioner jobs, because that was ultimately, like, I went to school to do that, and I was trying to find a nurse practitioner job. So got a call from a contract agency. And it was a weird call, but I'll never forget the call, because the lady was like, she was like, this is what it's for. This is the company that it's for. And this is what you would be doing. And she was asking me like some very brief things about my history or experience and stuff as a nurse and a nurse practitioner, and what my credentials and stuff were. But then she was like, okay, it's just a few things I need from you so that I can verify this or send this email or something. And she asked me for the last 4 digits of my social. And so she seemed legit at the time, and I was like, oh Lord. And after the fact, after I hung up from her, because I did divulge the last 4 of my social and stuff, I was like, oh Lord, I think I done got scammed. I was so paranoid. I'm like, oh, what if I just gave a, because I already have had identity theft issues in the past. And so I was thinking like, what if I just gave all my info and stuff to somebody, So I went on Facebook frantic asking about the agency and stuff, and come to find out it was legit, like, you know, and it was people who was working for the agency doing the same thing that I was going to be doing and stuff if I had gotten a job. And so then I was like, okay, that calmed me down. But some more weeks, I think maybe a week or something went by, and I finally heard back from them and had an interview with the actual hiring manager and everything, and got some further details about the specific job, which would be like COVID testing employees at a facility that the company was contracted with. And I was like, it seemed easy enough. The pay, you know, and thank God for that. Like, thank God the pay is very decent. And so I was very happy with that. You know, at first I was like, this is too good to be true. Like, this is not the rates that I've been seeing for nurse practitioners in a lot of places here in Michigan. And so I was like excited. I was like, oh shoot, okay. You know. And so had a few little roller coasters in the process of getting ready to start this job, but I did eventually get offered the job for sure. Because at one point they actually gave me an offer and reneged because they thought it was some changes with the company and they wasn't gonna need no employees no more and all that, and then that changed the next day. So anyways, went through roller coasters with that. Finally got that job, and so I started there in November. And then ended up everything ended up working out with another facility that I had been in the credentialing process for like health risk assessments. And I heard back from them in January or December saying that the credentialing process was complete. And mind you, this took, you know, about 3 months. So I had kind of given up on them. I wasn't even expecting to hear back from them. But anyways, so the job, doing the COVID testing for employees and things like that, I still do now. I work from 4:30 in the morning to 12:30 to 1 in the afternoon. So that was new for me. I was like, okay, this is new, but I was like, whatever, you know, I'll get off early. And I love it, actually. I love getting off early, especially when I get enough sleep at night. So I love getting off early and like being able to go to appointments if I need to, get hair done if I need to, you know, cook, just like, you know, live my life and stuff. So it works out for me, and that's the job that I do most of the time. I work like anywhere from 32 to 40 hours a week doing this particular job. And so I'm happy with it, you know. I have to say I'm blessed. I'm happy that it is a nurse practitioner job. Happy that I'm able to be like financially stable and stuff now and not be like uncomfortable or like hurting and worrying about how I was gonna pay this bill and that bill and stuff. You know, but the only thing about it is contract. So, you know, that's always lingering in the back of my head. Like, will I get hired in at the facility doing, you know, their in clinic things, or, you know, what will happen with that? To go into the next job that I have, it's literally like a, you know, something that's really like a side hustle for me. So I kind of just tell them my availability up front or ahead of time, about like a month or so, and then those are the days that I work. So far I've only worked one day. Was actually supposed to work yesterday, but because it's home business and we had the snow here, I was like, nope, I am not about to be driving and no you know, 6, 7, 8 inches of snow all over the world to go to patients' houses. It's just not about to happen. So I had to cancel that. And didn't have any issues, you know, doing that. They were understandable for the most part, I think. And so yeah, that's just as needed though. And that's a 1099 job. But so that's what's going on with the job stuff. I know that I would like to give you guys information and advice in my videos, and so this leads me into a little bit of advice. For one, in this time, especially this COVID time, which is still amongst us, and with how the nurse practitioner job market is, I think that it's always smart, if you can, if it's possible, to have a backup job in place. Even if you only working at that job once out the month, twice out the month, it's always smart to have something on the side just in case, because nurses do get laid off. I have been laid off as a nurse before. Nurse practitioners do get laid off. They do. So you never know. It's always, like I said, a good idea to have something backup in mind. Or in situations like, if for whatever reason you're not getting enough work, enough volume, then it's always smart to have something else lined up, no matter if it is an RN job or if it is another nurse practitioner job. It just always is smart to have that in line. Next piece of advice is, if you are a 1099 employee, this is something that's extremely new for me. I've typically worked jobs where I was, getting W-2s, and I had health benefits and all of that. Well, what I'm tending to notice with nurse practitioner jobs is that a lot of them, and this is not all of them, and this may not be applying to, other areas, but here in Michigan, what I'm noticing is there's a lot of places that actually may not offer health benefits. So, and that's even some of the positions that are W-2 positions. They may not offer health benefits. Like my contract job does not offer health benefits. This contract, I don't get health benefits. And then the other job that I do, which is the 1099 for the health risk assessment visits, it's 1099. They don't offer health benefits. So if you're a new nurse practitioner and you're not married, as I am not, and you don't have any other means of having health insurance, like through your spouse or something, then keep in mind that, if you're at a place and the wage is negotiable, keep in mind the extra money that is going to have to come out of your pocket to pay for your health benefits, and that can get kind of expensive. So I would recommend anybody who thinks that they're going to have to get insurance through the marketplace, go to healthcare.gov. I believe that's the website. And just get familiar with the plans they have on there, the rates, if they cover your particular provider that you see on a normal basis, or any specialist that you see, if they cover your medications that you're on, if you are on any, and keep in mind the level of service that you need. If you feel like you're a person who always has to go to the doctor or has a lot of things going on, you might want to get a plan that is a little bit more expensive so that you'll have more higher coverage. But these are things to keep in mind when you're interviewing for a job, and that rate or that wage is negotiable. That's always a good thing to bring up. Like, well, hey, you guys don't offer health benefits, so that's going to have to come out of my pocket. And because of what I feel that I am worth, and I know that I'm worth as a nurse practitioner, I feel that this would be an acceptable wage because of the expenses that I'll have to come out of for health care and, for other XYZ things. I have not had to negotiate, so I don't want to, act like I'm a master negotiator. I'm not, but I'm just letting you guys know that these are things to think about when you're beginning to work as a nurse practitioner and you might have a 1099 job or a contract job, especially with COVID going on. Next thing is the 1099 and the taxes, okay? So, like I said, 1099 is something that's completely new for me. The lady that I was working with through her own practice, I was 1099 with her. And at that time, money was low. So I was not able to put aside money for taxes. But keep in mind, if you're 1099, I believe that you're supposed to pay quarterly taxes, or you get penalized. And keep in mind that, even though you're not getting taxes withheld from your check, that money still has to get paid to the IRS. So it's very important to keep that in mind. I actually recommend people having several different accounts I have a checkings account, and I have two savings accounts. One of the savings accounts is strictly now just for anything that's gonna be put away for tax payments. And the other savings is just like my normal savings. But keep those things in mind if you are beginning as a 1099 employee, so that you don't have to worry during tax time, as I am, because I'm currently worried that I'm gonna have to, obviously I'm gonna have to owe some money, but keep those things in mind so that, when tax time comes, there's no surprises and you just have everything squared away. Also, keep in mind the things that you can write off on your taxes. Some people say it's beneficial to form an LLC, and that it benefits you. I don't know how, but that's what some people say. But definitely, yeah, keep those things in mind, for those new MPs out there who are getting ready to, take their first endeavor, their first job, or whatever. Definitely keep those things in mind. As far as any other advice that I have that I can think of right off the bat right now, just always keep your options open. Definitely keep an eye out on what is out there, what the job market is looking like on a regular basis, because it just never hurts to know. And also understand that sometimes your first nurse practitioner job might be a stepping stone to something that was more of your dream job in the future. So right now, the jobs that I do really don't require much extensive patient care. They don't really require me to write prescriptions for people or anything like that. It's more so, going over the preventative screenings and things like that that you would go over if you were having a patient come into a primary care office, like asking about colonoscopies, asking about mammograms, pap smears, those type of things. And then my other job, that's the health risk assessment job that I'm referring to. The other job is literally, I do a lot of documentation. I might answer like some of the patient's questions about COVID or the COVID test that we use. Just basic stuff. Have to give people their results, and if they are positive, then I do have to notify the appropriate people. So I don't have to do, anything that's extremely extensive or extra stressful or anything like that. And I'm honestly, I'm satisfied with it. I feel like this, if it's something that's gonna allow me to be close to stress-free, and I get paid, well to do it and stuff, and I can still have a good quality of life, then I think that you really cannot beat that. If you are a person who wants patient care, then of course, I understand that, but do understand that certain jobs may just be a stepping stone to add onto your resume to show that you have some nurse practitioner experience. Because a lot of these places want you to have, I've seen anywhere from like a year of experience plus as an NP in a lot of these places. That's what they're looking for. So if you get a job that's not much patient care, don't be discouraged. Look at it as, okay, especially if the pay is good and stuff, look at it as, okay, I'll be financially stable and this will be something that I can add onto my resume. Or you may even realize you don't want to do patient care like that. Ain't nothing wrong with that. I don't want to do too much patient care. I'm not gonna lie, I really don't think I want to do too much patient care unless it's like in the public health arena that I, was working in at the health department, and so like I really like the whole STD, sexual health arena, the HIV care, that type of thing. Those are the things that I'm more interested in as a nurse practitioner if I was to be doing patient care. Working with kids and stuff, like younger kids, like babies and stuff, that's just not something that I've ever wanted to do. I don't want to do primary care, don't really want to deal with too much chronic issues. I would do it, if it came about and that was the only thing that I could do, but that's just not something that I want to do. And it's important that you understand the things that you're interested in doing, and what your ultimate goals are as a nurse practitioner, you know. Everything is not for everybody. So let's see, I think that's pretty much it. Oh, one other thing that I do want to discuss, and this is off topic from my whole work situation and my little advice with those things. The COVID vaccine. So I got my COVID vaccine, the Pfizer vaccine, in January, and the second dose a little earlier this month. And I just want to discuss my experience with it. I had made a previous video about it, but I do want to also post a discussion about it briefly here as well. And before I do that, I just want to have a disclaimer and let people know that this is not a discussion to have a debate. This is not a discussion to sway anybody any particular way. This is really strictly a discussion about my experience and what I experienced when I got the vaccine, or the vaccines. Because a lot of people want to know, you know, some people have not been able to get it yet, and they want to know how my experience was. So the first dose that I had, I got it early in the morning, and so I didn't have too much going with me with that. I had like a minor sore arm and stuff. It did not hurt at all to get the vaccine. It was not a painful vaccine. There are some painful vaccines, or some that have a higher volume and that you get through the syringe. This is not that. This vaccine was not painful for me during the injection. But I was fine the whole day after that. I did have a birthday party that I went to later that night, and I had a lot of drinks, and I was just up late. So the next morning I did have some minor chills and some minor body aches, and that didn't last for long. But those were the only things that I had, and that was literally probably like a matter of, I woke up early in the morning, and then I went back to sleep, and I woke up and I was fine. That's what that was. Nothing extensive. The second dose was the one that I was the most concerned about, especially since I was starting my the health risk assessment job the next day after I got that second dose. I was like, shoot, I hope I'm okay, you know. So got the second dose. I got it after I left my after I left work, so in the afternoon-ish, and I was fine. Honestly, I did not even have a sore arm. I you know, do some weightlifting and stuff, so I don't know if that had anything to do with it, like me just working the muscle, and so maybe that's why I wasn't that sore. I don't know. But I did not have a sore arm. I did not have a fever. I did not have nausea. I did not have a headache. I did not have anything. And I worked 12 hours that following day, and I had no problems at all. I actually had felt more during my first one, you know, after my first one, than I did the second one. So that was my experience. You know, so a lot of people have some hesitation on a vaccine, and it's rightfully so. You know, I definitely understand it. It was just my decision to do that because I work at a COVID testing site, and I'm going into people's houses, and so that was just my decision that I made, because I just did not want to take the chance of me contracting COVID. I just didn't really want to take that chance. You know, I got pretty sick last year, and I think I definitely had influenza B, but after that, maybe a month or so later, I do believe I had COVID, and that was right before they were actually really doing the testing for it. And I was really sick. Like, you know, I was sick for a good 2 to 3 weeks. And finally, I actually had to make myself go to urgent care because I wasn't getting any better. So I didn't want to experience anything that was escalated or elevated from that. And, you know, right now I can't afford to have no time off. So I was like, let me just do what I think is going to be best for me. And that's what I thought was best for me. Everybody has had a different experience. Some people have had second dose side effects that might last 3 days. You know, it really just depends on the person. And, you know, everybody has their own preference. Some people want to wait until, you know, time goes on to see what will happen, which is understandable. And some people feel like, you know, they want to go ahead and get the vaccine now and, you know, hope to be protected more than what they were previously. So but other than that though, y'all, ain't nothing much else is new. I can say that I'm definitely, you know, after school has been done almost a year now, I'm very happy. Was very stressed out all throughout my nurse practitioner schooling for a lot of reasons, but I'm definitely, you know, in a good place now. I'm thankful to God for that. And things have just worked out, like, you know, career wise and just everything, social life, just everything, you know. And so if you're in nurse practitioner school or you're stressed out or whatever, you know, just understand that things do get better. Sometimes it takes time for that to happen, but things do, you know, things do get better. And that's rather it be in school or with school, in your career or your personal life, because I've been through both. So just understand those things, and I will leave y'all with that. I plan to start posting more videos more regularly than I had, and hopefully, you know, help out some people who, you know, might want to know more information, might be interested in going to nurse practitioner school. And I'm also gonna make some videos about nursing school as well, because I think, you know, that is definitely something that has led me to where I am now. So I definitely do want to make some videos to discuss my whole process when it came to nursing school and how that experience was for me as well. And as far as how my career, you know, path had went when I was solely working as an RN as well, because that's very important, I think, especially when you're considering going back to school as a nurse practitioner. So other than that though, y'all, I know this video is long, but for those who have watched, thanks for watching. Hopefully I was helpful, hopefully, you know, motivational. It might not feel like you can do things, but you definitely can. And just know that. So I will leave y'all with that. I hope y'all have a good night, and that is it.